Hey, this is Abacus with the SPUF Legend, and the Overwatch Summer Games have finally returned, bringing with them the best game mode Overwatch has ever come out with, Lúcioball, my favorite thing in the entire universe. I have been playing it so much, and they have gone above and beyond in bringing it back. Not only can you play Lúcioball, you can play Copa Lúcioball, the competitive version of Lúcioball that comes with skill rankings and competitive points. I did my placement matches and went into High Diamond, which is a new thing for me because usually in competitive Overwatch, I'm stuck down in the doldrums of gold, but I'm actually having a lot of fun playing Lúcioball, and I've actually managed to get my brother to play Lúcioball, who does not normally play video games, but even he's having fun with it. And so I highly recommend anyone who wants to go try Lúcioball, you should do it now before the event ends in, I think, a couple months, because it really is some of the most fun you can have in Overwatch. My two big recommendations if you are going to go play Lúcioball, by which I mean the two major mistakes that I see players making on the field. The first one is a little more well known and not as many people make it, but if you spawn in goal, you need to stay in goal or communicate to your team to get somebody to replace you, because a team that doesn't have a goalie is at a severe disadvantage and they're going to lose a lot of points they didn't need to. A lot of people have figured this one out on their own. The other really important thing that I think you should know if you're going to play Lúcioball is that you should set yourself up for the cross. I noticed that a lot of players tend to crowd around the ball. There's not a lot of value in having two teammates right next to the ball because the ball is kind of sensitive. If you boop it or whatever, it's gonna get hit and go flying in another direction. So it's far better if your teammate is closer to the ball than you, let them take it. You need to move off to the other side of the map and get ready for the rebound, which is more than likely going to happen because that ball goes really hard when it hits off the walls. And set yourself up for the cross hit. Those are my two recommendations for Lúcioball. In regards to the rest of the event, they brought back they brought back all the old skins, and those old skins are regular priced, as in if it's a legendary, it's only worth 1,000 coins instead of 3,000. Which is really cool. I'm gonna be honest, it's really surprising. I didn't expect them to do this. I thought that events were their major way of, sinking in games, the concept of a money sink, something to get players to get rid of all their accumulated coins, and normally they used events to rely on this, but the fact that they've gotten rid of the tripled cost for old event items, along with the new loot box 2.0, where loot boxes will release far fewer duplicates. Indeed, I don't think I've gotten a single duplicate since they created the new loot boxes. Makes me think that Blizzard is taking their loot system in a new way. Rather than what they were trying to do before, where they were trying to always have new stuff to unlock, they've realized that if you're the sort of player who's been playing long enough that you can unlock everything, because you're level like 650 and you have all of the loot items, you do not need loot anymore to motivate yourself to keep playing the game, because you've already put enough time to the game that you are now a long-standing veteran who has clearly enjoyed the game. So I think Blizzard's new strategy is, hey, let a level 600 player unlock almost everything. They don't need loot anymore to motivate them. They've got the game and they've put in their time. So I think that's a good idea. The other thing that I wanted to mention, I haven't seen anyone talk about this, but I find it kind of surprising. The new player icon, I'm using the old player icon in this footage, but so you can see the old player icon, and it has a little 2016 on it. The new player icon does not. It's the exact same thing, except it's gold colored, but they didn't put the number 2017, and actually if you look into the player icons, none of them have years on them, except for this one from Summer Games 2016, and I think Blizzard realized that it looks kind of weird to have dates on player icons, because it makes the player icon into more of like a bragging right than what it's supposed to be, which is just a cute little symbol to have next to your name. Now it becomes a, haha, look at me, I've been playing this game since 2016. So I kind of predict, very minor prediction, I don't think we're going to see any more player icons going forward that are going to have symbols on them. But what we are going to have going forward, based on the new PTR patch update, is a deathmatch mode, which I'm pretty excited about. Probably not going to play that much of it. I tend to just play the vanilla Overwatch because it's I'm going to be completely honest, I like the fact that it keeps track of your stats. It does not track your stats at all in arcade mode, which Deathmatch is going to be a part of. But I do think it's going to be cool because I'm assuming that a lot of players who play competitive solely for deathmatching are going to migrate over into this new game mode. So a lot of the one-trick Genjis and Roadhogs might be moving over. Speaking of which, Junkrat, Roadhog, and Oriza are all getting very interesting little buffs that we should all be looking out for. I am very excited about how Junkrat's going to be able to hold 2 concussion mines now. That's going to be frigging awesome. It drastically increases his mobility, and his Riptire just got a flat 30% increase to its movement speed and can now wall climb indefinitely, which is going to significantly increase what he can accomplish on the battlefield. He has come such a far way from that fragile little grenadier that he was back in 2016, where he had to worry about his own damage. Man, he is super mobile now, and I'm really curious to see if this changes his position in the meta whatsoever. I know that Oriza's is going to. Oriza's protective barrier has been changed, that there's now more protection from enemies that are attacking her from below. This is going to make it possible for her to place her barriers on rooftops and in other places where she's not just sticking it flat on the ground. I'm curious to see what this ends up changing. But I'm sure, I mean, it's a flat buff. It can't go wrong, and they could really use it because she's probably the tank I see the least when playing in competitive, the regular competitive circuit. Though again, I must note that I play in gold, so nothing that I do is really indicative of the higher levels. Roadhog has been buffed by his take a breather, where he grabs that alcohol can and drinks something. He can now do it while moving, and he also takes less damage while healing. I am curious to see what this turns him into. That first one, being able to use it while moving, a skilled player could do that anyway by jumping behind cover as he takes the breather, but this kind of removes that and makes it a lot more easy to run around as Roadhog, and I think that Blizzard is trying to set up Roadhog as, believe it or not, a tank, because before this, Roadhog was pretty much known as a DPS in the tank slot. But now that Roadhog has all these buffs to his healing and these nerfs to his damage, he becomes more of a tank who specializes in yanking enemies out of their position, because he can grab them with their hook, but he can't really finish them off. So he's going to rely on his team to make use of the new, his enemy's new terrible position to finish them off. Speaking of which, Widowmaker has a minor buff too. Her grappling hook has been reduced in cooldown, and her Venom Mine, if it triggers on an enemy, she can now see that enemy through walls. And I think this is about the fairest Widowmaker buff that we could possibly expect, because Widowmaker is kind of powerful as a character, and when it comes to her sniper rifle, and so I understand why they would buff elements of her. That's not the sniper rifle itself, so I am really interested to see how this turns out. Those are all on the PTR if you want to go see them, but for the time being, if you do not have the PTR because you're on console or you just don't want to install it, go check out Lúcioball and the Overwatch Summer Games. This is Abacus with the SPUF of Legend. Have a great day.